So, you want to be a dungeon master.
So you want to be a dungeon master.
So you want to be a dungeon. So you want to be a dungeon master. So, you want to be a dungeon master.
That's great. We're here to help. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Justin. This week, take me to church because we're getting back into the 2024 Player's Handbook and discussing the Cleric. What's changed? What's the same? And is it any good? We're going to review the base class and the subclasses available in the 2024 Player's Handbook. As always, Taylor and I will give our opinions, but they're just that, opinions. And since we both love the Cleric so much, I expect this to be a really interesting episode, so let's get into it. But first, how can you play a Cleric in a way that feels totally new? Especially, I think this question is geared for people like you and I who have played a bunch of Clerics.
Yeah.
We love Clerics. We like the idea of Clerics. There's so many domains. The question isn't really like, what's a domain that you haven't played it's like, no. Just from a role-playing backstory sort of setup, how can you play a Cleric that feels different from every Cleric kind of thing?
Right. So I don't know if it's different from every Cleric, but I've already done like the kind of atheistic or like honestly polytheistic Cleric.
For sure.
Because in our current campaign, I'm a servant of Cord and the Raven Queen.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, one is a paladin, one is a Cleric. That's so cool.
Yeah. So I think for me, something that would be kind of new would be like the camp counselor / youth pastor Cleric.
Oh my God, that's fun. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
God, that's so funny.
I can't come up with a voice or how it would be, how I would play it, but I definitely would want to do like, hey gang, we don't really need to be killing all these people, do we? I mean,
did we all forget the golden rule?
Right.
That's all right. Seems like we
they're
did
really.
You know who didn't?
Just
though?
the really.
You know who didn't? Points up at the sky. Cord the Stormlord. He never forgets.
Sees everything.
And he's in our hearts.
Yeah.
And he's in our hearts. But yeah, I would have a fucking blast. It would
need every head bowed and every eye closed.
The catharsis for all of the religious trauma in my life would be solved through this one character. I am confident. I am stealing your answer. That's now my answer. Come up with a second answer, please, Taylor. I'm kidding. That's so funny. I really like that idea a lot. Somebody who's a little naive and just really bought into the whole thing and very gentle.
Yeah.
Kind of comes across as like, no. He's like a cool pastor. He wears jeans.
Yeah, no.
Like, yeah.
Look at him. He sits on the chair backwards.
Whoa. My God, I love that. That's such a fun one. Okay, yeah, I really like that. Okay, for me, there's two things I think of. One is, in the beginning, it wouldn't be different. It actually would follow all of the tropes. I'm just a cleric who follows a deity. But I would really like the idea of losing that faith and gaining a new faith. And so switching at some point. And having it be like not a quick, not like, hey, I leveled up to level 10 and now instead of this, I'm this. No. I want it to be like sessions and sessions of trauma and losing abilities, like not being able to do divine intervention anymore and like gaining it back over trials and proving my, you know what I mean? I want it to be like a thing.
Right.
Same thing with like warlocks though too. Like even having any kind of big change like that, whether it's changing a subclass to represent that from a mechanical standpoint, or even changing a whole class, gaining a multi-class, whatever it may be. I think that could be really, really cool. And the other idea is, it's actually inspired by a player in one of my home games, my other home game, where he's playing a Cleric of Bahamut, but also has this like really interesting fascination with all of the deities and like wants to collect tokens and favors from all of the different faiths that he finds along the way and like learn about all of them and stuff. And so even though he's very much, Bahamut centered, I love this idea of just really being like, oh yeah, I've heard of them actually. They have this really cool tradition that they do X, Y, and Z, and it's awesome. And yeah, I've been to their church. I've talked to their followers. They're great people. I really liked that. Like, anytime I mention, hey, there's a temple in this town, it's not like, where's the Bahamut temple? It's like, no. Whatever temple's here, I want to see it. I want to see how they do their
that's
faith and how they do their stuff. And I love it.
I would call that a very healthy relationship with religion.
Yes. That is the impression I get for sure, both from this player and from this PC. And it's fun. And for a DM, it's great because now I get to this world already. That setting, Sword Coast Coup, already kind of has it because it's based on Forgotten Realms. So deities are pretty important, you know? They're pretty like worked in. So, but it's fun for me to get to explore that and kind of lore dump in that way to put things through the lens of, you know, these different pantheons. So I love it. I love it. I also wouldn't mind playing a cleric that's kind of like, not exactly, but kind of like Kingston Brown from Unsleeping City, where you are a cleric in all mechanical rights, but it's not it's not a singular deity that you worship. It's like an ideal, almost more closely related to paladins in how the faith works. But I think as long as you come up with something that's, you know, that can give your character enough conviction to really put themselves behind in the way that Kingston Brown puts himself behind New York City, I think it's beautiful. I think it's awesome. I think it could be really cool. Because some people will cite parts of 5e where they'll show like in the book, it's like clerics worship gods. And it's like, hey man, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They can worship gods.
Show me the individual who put those words in the books, and I'll look them in the eyes and tell them, not always. I don't care. No one has any right to dictate how you play the game as long as everyone at your table is having fun. And so if you want to change what it means to be a cleric in your setting, in your table, you're allowed to do that. Naturally, there are going to be people who are going to push back against anything like that. I've offered this question to TikTok multiple times of being like, how did you guys work? Like, how would you guys feel about a cleric who didn't have a specific deity, maybe was an atheist, but believed in an ideal, and everybody was like, not everybody, but a lot of people were like, just make them a paladin, or it says explicitly in the thing, divine intervention. How would you explain that? And I go, you changed the word divine. What do you mean, guys? It's like not that difficult to like change these little things.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of open ground for clerics. I think they're easily the most diverse class in terms of how you play them. But we'll see if all that holds up in 2024, because let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Hey gang, we wanted to talk to you about something pretty important real quick. See, we have some really cool ideas for the future, but we need your help. You can do that by supporting us through our Patreon. At the lowest tier, you get early access to podcast episodes, access to episodes of Action Surge, our post-session table talk show, and entry into a private channel on our Discord server. At the next tier, you can get access to Bonus Action, our bonus content podcast where we talk about a huge variety of D&D and TTRPG related things, like Multi-Class Mystery Mashup, where we get 2 random classes and have to build a character, or Monster Matchmaker, where we go over our favorite monsters at each CR level, or recaps of our home campaign, plus so much more. Joining the Patreon helps us continue to grow and put out content that gets better and better as we learn, improve, and try new things. So, check out the link in the description to join the gang today.
I'm ready and raring to go. And so,
all right, yeah, let's
level
clerics
1 start. Level 1, we start off with the same proficiencies as 2014. So pretty much across the board, everything's the same, whether it's the medium to light armor and shields, simple weapons, wisdom and charisma saves, like it's all the same. Then we get into spell casting, almost all the same. Now there is some differences. The first one is this. You do not have to calculate how many spells you can prepare. Instead, all you have to do is consult the cleric table, and it has a column for spells known. And this is true for all spell casting across 2024. They've just gotten rid of that as a mechanic. So good. Everything is just spells known. Now, here's a really interesting thing that they have done with 2024. And I'm a little mixed about it. I like it, but I haven't played it, so I don't really know. Right at level 1, you get something called Divine Order. And you get to make a choice between 2 options. And this is going to kind of dictate some stuff for like what type of cleric do you want to be mechanically.
Right.
The first option is Protector. You get proficiency in martial weapons and heavy armor. No longer
Okay.
does this come from your subclass. So now if you want to play
I was going to say, yeah.
obviously Tempest Cleric like isn't in 2024 yet, but it would be really easy to move it over. Let's say you did. No longer is it like Storm Clerics all get heavy armor. It's like, no, hey man, if you want to be a backline Storm Cleric and hit lightning bolts from a distance and get some extra spell casting, you can do that with medium armor.
Yeah.
Or if you want to get into the attacking things with weapons and having that heavy armor, getting the higher AC and all that stuff, you might be more frontline, whatever it may be, then you can do it that way too. And that's also true for the other domains. So it's not linked to your subclass, and I like that.
Yeah, I really like the thought of a frontline life cleric or something like that.
Yeah. It's
that
really, really
doesn't
cool.
Get those benefits. Yeah, it always kind of sucked. I always like in this is gonna be a weird throw, but like in World of Warcraft, when you pick cleric, you can just every cleric, doesn't matter what your little subclass or whatever you do with it is heavy armor and maces you get out off jump. That proficiencies you get. And it always is weird to me to think of a cleric that is not that, because I've played a bunch of World of Warcraft, and like the thought of a non-frontline style cleric is wild to me.
Yeah. No, and that totally makes sense. And when I think of healers and clerics and stuff, I think of maybe more recent animes and stuff where they're always like low armor. They're like always chilling in the back, and it's like, hey, healer, get up here. And the healer like runs up, like heals somebody, and then gets the fuck out of there.
Right.
But yeah, I like this. It's not tied into your subclass. You can play. It gives you more options of individualization down the line and stuff like that. So that's all at level 1.
Yeah. I also like being able to, it kind of make like you can homebrew this however you want. We've talked about it before of the for the thaumaturge side of things.
Oh yeah, I didn't even go over that one yet. Actually, really quick, let me say that one.
Yeah,
I know. I did Protector, and then
hopping things.
We started hopping.
Yeah.
So Protector, proficiency in martial weapons and heavy armor. The other option for this Divine Order is Thaumaturge. Thaumaturge, you get an extra cantrip, and you are allotted a bonus to your Arcana and Religion checks equal to your Wisdom modifier, which is an improvement. It's even better than what our house rule normally would be, which you were about to mention.
Right. Yeah. Because our house rule is that for religion checks, I use my wisdom modifier instead of my intelligence modifier, because I am a canonically stupid boy.
Mm-hmm. And like we also did the same back when we had a druid, the nature checks were wisdom. Mm-hmm. So there was like little things for certain classes. It was like, this is fine. And it's not really stepping on anyone's toes in a way that like makes them feel unuseful. So it was fine. But this is even better, because now you get to add your wisdom and your intelligence, at least to those two, which is perfect. Mm-hmm. It's kind of all you need. So I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the question. It's are you going to go more heavy armor and frontline and physical attacks, or are you going to go more spellcasting heavy? And I believe there is also, oh no, it's later on. But yeah, that's all at level 1 right off the bat. Level 2, you get your Channel Divinity. Some interesting changes here. Some really interesting changes here I would love to see play out in a way. And what I mean by that is I'm not sure if it's good or bad. I think they're good, but there's like parts of them that are just different in a way where I'm like, how's that going to work? You know? So let's get into it. So Channel Divinity, hey, right at level 2, you get 2 uses immediately.
Nice.
Now you get 2 uses per long rest. But on a short rest, you can get 1 back.
Okay.
And you gain more uses as you level up. So at level 6, you'll have 3. And then it's a long chug all the way to 18th. And then you get 4.
Okay. All right. I don't hate it.
You get 2 right away, and then the resting mechanic, the recharging mechanic has changed. So you're always going to be able to get 1 back on a short rest, which, depending on how many short rests you get, it might be good. Might be just the same, really, in the grand scheme of things. I mean,
depends on how often you're letting your party short rest. Yeah,
for sure. So yeah, we'll see how that all plays out in actual, playing of the game. Now, with this Channel Divinity right off the bat, not including any subclasses, obviously, because in 2024, as a reminder, all subclasses are at 3rd level. So we've already seen changes in Cleric that I haven't even mentioned, and that is you don't have a subclass yet.
Mm-hmm.
You're just down with, the big questions in life. Which is, let's be honest, story-wise, fucking dumb. But I guess it's kind of like, it doesn't mean you don't believe in a deity. Like, you could still believe in Bahamut, and just, it takes you until 3rd level for Bahamut to be like, oh, hey, man, hey, I believe in you too.
Right.
So, like, that, it's fine. But anyway, so level 2, Channel Divinity, 2 options of how to use it. The first one is Divine Spark.
Okay.
Use a magic action, point at a creature that you can see within 30 feet of you, roll a d8, add your wisdom modifier, and you have 2 choices. You can either heal this person, or you can have them make a Constitution saving throw, and they take radiant or necrotic damage, your choice, or half on a success.
Okay, I like this, actually.
Again, this is
just
one option. The other is Turn Undead. We'll go over that in a second, because that's changed how they did it.
Yeah, so... Usually it's just Turn Undead, and then whatever your subclass you have
so you get
dictates
this
your
one.
other type of use. So now
Divine
you have the
Spark
third one
the
that's
third.
actually really nice, because you get, again, 2 uses per long rest.
And the
so it's
option.
technically, potentially.
Healing.
Yeah, exactly. It's potentially a free heal or a free, that's basically a free cantrip that, you don't have to do anything with it. You just get them back, which is nice.
Yeah, 100%. It's really legit. I mean, and it does, the damage levels up with you. At 7th level, it becomes 2d8, 13th, 3d8, and at 18th, 4d8. So both the healing and the harm potential for Divine Spark will increase over time. So that's cool. I do like that. It's just nice to have that extra option in there. You never know when you're going to need it. There's a tiny part of me, maybe it's because clerics don't have a ton of cantrips that do damage other than Sacred Flame. So actually this could be really, really useful. There was a part of me that read this and was like, okay, a D8 plus my whiz. Why wouldn't I just do cantrips? Cantrips level up earlier than these level up, the damage types. And they do a D8 of damage anyway. They don't add your wisdom modifier until you do that later in the game as a cleric. But I do like it. I like having the option. I can heal, I can hurt, I can do a ton of things with it. And sometimes you're not fighting undead, so the big option, Turn Undead, is completely useless.
Right, exactly.
So
that's one of the biggest things is usually it's just Turn Undead and whatever your little subclass ability is. And Turn Undead, unless you're fighting undead, pretty goddamn useless.
Pretty useless, literally useless. Yeah. And let's get into Turn Undead, because they have made some changes. I think they're very interesting because it's hyper specific on the word choice here. So you take a magic action, and each undead of your choice, that's new. It used to not be of your choice. And the only reason that's important is if you have undead in your party, which can happen.
Kind of.
Yeah.
There's
either summons
I just thought of,
or there's some species that are technically undead.
Or if you want to single one out.
Oh, that too.
Is another one. You could be like, okay, everybody but that guy, fuck off.
Yeah. That's also very true. Yes. You're absolutely right. I was thinking more on the ally side, but yes, you also can be really strategic about how you play this. So that's nice. The other thing is, each undead of your choice within 30 feet of you. Now that sounds normal, but here's the thing. What's missing here? What's missing is the words that you can see or the words that can see or hear you. Because in 2014, it said the undead must be able to hear or see you. No longer is that even there, which makes me feel crazy as a DM, because all I'm thinking about is, what the fuck are you talking about? Like now, just like an undead behind 2 closed doors, behind a brick of thing, like they're within, how it doesn't mention anything about that. Now, of course, there's like probably line of sight things and another section of the DMG that goes over this type of thing, but it just feels a little like you couldn't just add in the words that you can see.
I guess I see it, but at the same time though, like I'm feeling it's more of the way that I would explain it lore wise would be a kind of deific energy that permeates everything.
That's my
Like,
question is like, does it really penetrate everything? Can it go through everything? Because like even some of the most powerful spells can't go through lead or like certain metals and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know.
But God is
I just
everywhere, Justin.
What? God is everywhere. Yeah. I hear that.
God is everywhere.
Well, Big Brother, sometimes get out of here. But yeah, no, I get it.
Hold on, let me switch around and sit on my chair backwards real quick.
Yeah.
We'll have a little chat.
Now you're cool. Okay. Now I get it. Far out. So turn undead, it still works pretty much the same way. Magic action, each undead of your choice within 30 feet of you must make a wisdom save or be frightened of you and incapacitated for 1 minute.
Okay.
Now, it does try to move away from you as far as possible on each of its turns, which is a unique thing to turn undead that the frightened condition normally doesn't get. That confuses people sometimes.
Yeah.
And it ends early if the turned creature takes damage or if you become incapacitated or die.
Yep, that's pretty much the same.
Yeah, pretty much. There's things later on that change big time, and we'll get into those really quickly because the next couple levels are simple. Level 3, you get that subclass. Finally, subclass feature. You get your second level spells.
Nice.
Level 4, we get an ASI or a feat. Tons of options there. Level
Classic.
5, a massive change to the destroy undead.
Yeah.
Because now it is called
I'm
seer undead.
not crazy about this.
Neither am I. But I also, it's such a specific thing. It's all about undead. So it's just like such a hyper specific point of the game where it's kind of like, this might not even come up that much where it even matters. And also like,
right.
It's like the CR levels that destroy undead actually even hit were pretty low.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, it's not often at a certain level. You're not.
2.
Yeah. You're just not fighting that strong of undead or that weak of undead at a certain level, just because it becomes unbalanceable. We've talked about this millions of times that like at a certain level, you could throw 1,000,000 zombies at your party. It doesn't matter. They will always lose because they literally can't roll high enough to hit the players.
Right.
And the players can kill hundreds at a time with AoE stuff. So it's like,
that would be a really fun thing.
I've almost tried it. I've tried it a couple
hordes
times.
Hordes of undead
tons
versus
of undead, and it's hard. They need something to increase
that battle would take
even
forever.
If there was a way to just, I mean, obviously you could just homebrew it and fake it, but like you need their attack bonus to be slightly higher. You need them to have a way of hitting, and unless you fix that, then it's literally pointless. But if you can get around that, whether it's just by homebrewing, because you can just hand wave it and be like, actually, it's a +8 instead of a +3,
Yeah.
But anyway, so Seer Undead. So now this is an upgrade to Turn Undead. So every time you use Turn Undead, this will happen. Roll a number of d8s equal to your Wisdom modifier and add those together. So we're talking about 3 to 5 d8s. Each undead that fails the Turn Undead save also takes this as radiant damage, but this damage does not end the Turn Undead effect.
Okay.
So you're still doing a ton of damage across a huge, 30-foot radius. You're hitting every single undead in that 30-foot radius that you chose to target with your Turn Undead spell. And now they're just, in addition to being turned, also taking extra damage. That way, when they get unturned, whatever.
I can see how this
so it's
would basically. I'm gonna revise my statement. This would basically have the same effect of destroy undead, given that 5d8 will kill a quarter freaking CR monster.
Well, we're about to find out. I have 4d4 to keep it. We're 5th level. Maybe I used my ASI thing for not wisdom, and I have a 19 still. 5 plus 6 is 11 points of damage. I can tell you almost all zombies have 20 points of damage, 20 points of hit points.
Right.
So just as an idea.
Okay.
That's just one example, of course. Skeletons have a little bit less. I think they have 13 if memory serves off the top of my head. But still, we're dancing around that 10 to 20 range for those lower CRs. For undead specifically, I'm thinking of skeletons and zombies. But so still, something that's pretty interesting. It's nice to have. If your wisdom modifier ever goes up, so does this. So you get that. And hey, you also get 3rd level spells at level 5.
Nice.
So
that's
that
dope.
now. You got your spirit guardians. You know what I mean? So
yeah. 3rd level spells are big for clerics.
Big.
But moving on to level 6, you're going to get yourself another subclass feature, which is dope. At level 7, you get Blessed Strikes, which gives you one of these 2 options. You can either get Divine Strike. Once on each turn, you can do an extra D8 of necrotic or radiant damage on your weapon attacks, or Potent Spellcasting, which allows you to add your wisdom modifier to cantrip damage. This again takes the subclass out of this feature, because most of the times this will be tied to whatever subclass you are. Like for Tempest Clerics, I get the bonus for the 2 weapon attacks. But if you are like a Life Cleric or something like that, I think you get the wisdom modifier to your cantrips. It's basically, it's usually, if you're one of the classes that gets the heavy armor proficiency and all of that stuff, you're likely going to get the
Divine
extra
Strike
damage on weapon attacks. If you're more of a backline caster, you're going to get the wisdom modifier on your cantrips. This lets you choose.
And
mix and match if you like, which is nice.
In addition to the letting you pick and choose, also it comes a level earlier. It used to be a level 8 thing for all of those subclasses. Tiny difference, but still nice.
You also get your 4th level spells.
Heyo. Banishment.
Heyo. Nice.
Get out of you.
Clairvoyance. Or no, divination.
Divination.
That's one of my favorites.
It's a great spell.
At level 8, Shocker and ASI are a feat. Surprise.
Feet.
Level 9, you're getting 5th level spells. Hell yeah. And then at level 10, level 10, we're getting our Divine Intervention. So this has undergone some changes here. Yeah. In the 2014 rules, you could just kind of like ask your god for help in some vague way,
and then it was just
roll a D100.
It's just so ambiguous. It's you and the DM figuring out what the DM is willing to let your god do.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas now in the 2024 rule set, at level 10, your Divine Intervention, it's a magic action. You can choose any cleric spell, 5th level or lower, that doesn't require a reaction to cast. And then as part of the action, you can cast it without using a slot or needing material components. You can just do it. And it's any cleric spell at 5th level, doesn't need to be prepared or anything like that. You just pick a 5th level or lower cleric spell and it happens. Does it say anything in the rules about upcasting? Could I potentially just cast a 4th or a 5th level healing word or cure wounds or something like that?
That's a
or
great
does it have
question.
to be a 5th level spell?
I would allow that.
Okay.
It doesn't specify. It doesn't mention that as an option in a technical sense, but it doesn't say like also you can cast a 1st level. It doesn't say that, but I also don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that, because it would kind of hit the same criteria, and presumably a lower level spell would have cheaper material components, so that wouldn't come into play.
Right.
Like that wouldn't be that big of a deal. Like I don't think how.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Like a free fucking revivify or
raise dead.
Yeah.
5th level.
Raise dead. Yeah.
Why do you revivify when you
Hell
can raise dead? Let
now you can't only do this once per long rest.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is powerful. But yeah, it does feel like a huge break from what I'm so used to. This makes me sad.
Right.
For the same reason that like changing druid wild shape makes me sad, or like changing the moon druid, which we're going to go over next time. But like the moon druid that got changed from like now it can't do the elemental forms at a certain level. Like, is the new change bad? Like, for example, is this divine intervention bad? No, it is not bad. It is good. Is it better or worse than the old one? That's up for opinion based on, personal playstyles. The thing that makes it sad for me is I've never gotten to do this as a player.
Yeah.
So like, I want to do the 2014 one. I want to do this one too, but I also want to do the 2014 one. I want to have that moment of the whole table freaking the fuck out because I finally divine intervened and like we did it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
So it's like, that makes me sad. It's not that this is bad. It's just that I want to do the one that I've always been the fucking DM.
Right.
I want to do some of the 2014 things as a player. But if I just have to immediately switch to 2024 every time I'm a player, then it's like, I'll never get to try that. And it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only gripe about this.
It's fair. Honestly, fair.
Thank you. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's a good thing. I mean, 5th level spells, there's a ton of them. It's nice that you don't have to use any material components, so that's really clutch. Yeah. It's just a magic action, so the idea that you could do this during combat or outside of combat, whenever. And we're talking about some powerful spells and stuff too. There's also like summon celestial, scrying, raise dead, planar binding, mass cure wounds, legend lore. Like something that you don't have prepared, but you can't wait until tomorrow.
Right.
You know, Hallow. That takes 24 hours to cast, but that's, whatever.
Yeah, but that's still crazy. Hallow with no Geish as a free spell is crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
But yeah,
absolutely.
I also think the Hallow spell with no material components, because that one's kind of pricey if I remember correctly.
You need at least 1,000 GP.
Yeah. So
what level is... Ooh, Hero's Feast is level 6. Oh, they were so smart. They were so smart to not let you have that.
Hero's Feast is another great one.
That one's also pricey, but that one's really good. That's one where it's like, you might as well just cast this every day if you could. It's so good. But okay, yeah. So Divine Intervention at level 10. Level 11, we get our 6th level spells, such as Hero's Feast. Level 12, ASI or Feat. Level 13, 7th level spells. Look at that. Now we get Divine Word, Conjure Celestial, which is different than Summon Celestial. Goodness gracious. And then at 14th level, we build upon our Blessed Strikes. So the level 7 option just gets a little stronger. So now the Divine Strike goes to a 2d8 worth of damage, potent spell casting. When you cast a Cleric cantrip and deal damage, you can give temporary hit points to a creature that you can see within 60 feet of you, equal to your Wisdom modifier. So 4 to 5.
Hell yeah.
Temporary hit points every time you cast a cantrip. Kind of fucking insane. And then 15th level, 8th level spells.
Hell yeah.
Earthquake, Control Weather, Anti-Magic Field, Sunburst, Holy Aura. There's literally only 5 in 2014. I don't know if the other list has
That's
more.
crazy.
I left my PHP downstairs. But
still, a lot of really good game-breaking shit in there.
Oh yeah.
Level 16, you're getting another ASI or a feat. Level 17, 9th level spells, baby, and you get a subclass feature.
Hey
level 18, you get nothing. Good day, sir. Just kidding. You do get one more prepared spell, so there is that.
Yeah. I was looking at that. That took me a while. I was like reading through it. It just had a dash, and I was like, surely you get something. Like some of the other ones, it's like all you get is the ASI or just extra higher
this
spell
one's
slot level. And
literally.
I was like, huh. Oh, I was like, oh, well, it does go from 21 to 22 prepared spells. I was like, I'll count it.
Oh boy. Yeah. You get nothing.
You're already a god at this point.
Sir.
Whatever.
Yeah. Level 19, you get one of them sweet epic boons. There's a whole list of them to pick from. The one that is recommended in the book is Boon of Fate. Lets you increase any of your ability scores by 1 up to 30. You can improve fate when you or another creature within 60 feet of you succeeds or fails a d20 test. You can roll 2d4 and either add or subtract that. So you can use this on enemies or allies, however you want to do it. And you get this once per short or long rest, or until you roll initiative. So hold on a second. So you get it. You can do it once per initiative roll. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. You use it during a combat. You've used it, right? You don't have it anymore.
Right.
There's only 3 ways to recharge it. Short rest, long rest, enter another fight.
Or okay.
Or get
so
another, punch another guy in the face, and then you get it back.
Right. Well, yeah. So, I mean, this is kind of one of those things where if you had to, say, use it in an out of combat session, you won't hesitate to use it out of combat because you know you'll get it back during combat, which is
Yeah,
nice.
at the very start of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it is really nice. I also I don't think that it mentions anything about a reaction or anything like that. I think this just happens. Which is
this
pretty
is kind of
crazy. Really fun though.
Yeah, kind of like Flash of Genius, which is
Yes.
also really cool, where it just happens.
Well, Flash of Genius is a reaction.
Oh no, it is a reaction. It is a
found that
reaction.
out, yeah.
You're right. Yeah, we did find that out. Yeah, we literally just watched that episode of Sphinx City, and we went over it in the episode, and I've already forgotten. But anyway, at level 20, get ready for it. You ready? Greater Divine Intervention. Now,
Whoa.
you can choose the Wish
It
spell.
can get better?
It can
It can get better than 5th level
So-
spells? What?
It can totally get better than 5th level
No
spells.
way.
You can, as a cleric, cast the Wish spell. If you do it in this way, though, you can't use your Divine Intervention for 2d4 long rests. Totally fair. Honestly, totally fair.
Totally fair. The wish spell
So it's an
itself
action.
already
You get a
has-
free wish. Yeah. Wish itself is broken as hell.
I just rolled 2d4. I got 3. 3 days. I can make another wish. Yeah, absolutely. It's really, really crazy. The interesting thing is the fact that obviously it's a huge change to Divine Intervention, just as a general thing. It also is very interesting because it's like, hey, every single day between, let me double check. Is it just, Divine Intervention, 1 per long rest. Every day you can just bang out a 5th or lower spell.
Right.
Every couple of days, you could make a wish. But nothing in between that. 6th level, 7th level, 8th level, go fuck yourself. And so that's a little interesting, but I do like it. I mean, do we even remember what the 2014 capstone was? I'm looking it up now. Oh, it's better because it just says Divine Intervention at 20th level. Your call
just
for
automatically
intervention
succeeds.
succeeds.
Yeah.
Wild.
And with the way
That's
that the
127
2014
days.
rules are written, you can do some wild shit with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, woof. Absolutely woof. And I mean, really, really
You could
fun
technically ask for a wish spell or
You
something
honestly
along
could.
those lines, or you could use it in a million other creative ways that it's basically you're asking your god to intervene, and they just do.
And they just do. Although, keep in mind that the person role-playing as your god and also creating the world, and also probably more powerful than your fictitious god, is the DM. And so
Right.
they also have to approve everything and work with you, and hopefully that goes both ways. But let's get into these subclasses. So we got 4 subclasses that we've all seen before. Nothing new.
Mhm.
They've just changed some stuff. Some of it is exactly the same, and some of it is different. And so we'll go over all of that. We're starting off with the classic cleric, the stereotypical cleric, the life domain.
Cleric TM.
Cleric TM, life domain. At 3rd level, you get Disciple of Life. When you use a spell slot to cast a spell that restores hit points, that creature gains an additional 2 plus the spell's level worth of hit points. Nice and easy. That's the same. Life domain spells, you get a bunch of spells that are always prepared for you as a cleric. Because you miss out on the 1st level thing, you'll notice that all of these little tables of the domain spells have the very first slot has 4 spells that you just automatically always have prepared right out of the gate. Normally, you would have gotten those two of them at 1st level. So they just shifted it. So it's fine.
Right.
3rd level, we get Aid, Bless, Cure Wounds, Lesser Restoration. 5th level, Mass Healing Word, Revivify. 7th level,
Nice.
Aura of Life and Death Ward. 9th level, Greater Restoration, Mass Cure Wounds.
Hell yeah.
All classic, all abjurative or, evocative in the sense of healing. So it's just that, all that makes sense. I think there's 1 or 2 tiny changes between 2014 and this one.
Yeah.
But for the most part, most of the
Pretty
big ones.
similar spell list. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's true for all of them. There's tiny changes here and there, but most of the spells are the same. Then also at 3rd level, we get Preserve Life. So this is our 3rd use of Channel Divinity. You would have to use a magic action and burn one of your Channel Divinities. Now, this is interesting because they changed this. It's kind of the same Channel Divinity as the Life Domain has always had, where you just do a huge burst of healing outwards, right?
Right.
but they've changed the specifics because you have to choose a number of creatures within 30 feet of you, possibly including yourself, but you can only choose a creature if they're bloodied. So they have to be half HP.
Okay.
Or lower than half HP, actually, because there's also, this can only heal someone to half their max HP.
Huh.
That last
kind of
line
bullshit.
was always in there. The bloodied thing is
Really?
new.
Okay.
Yeah, I double checked because I also felt like you did. Just now I could feel
Yeah.
it through the mic.
Yeah.
I felt you go,
Yeah.
what? Half HP? That's nothing. I heard you. I felt it.
Yeah.
Now, the other interesting thing, so same as always, you choose these, choosing a bunch of creatures around you in a 30-foot radius, and then you dividing out a certain number of healing points amongst them. That total pool that you're drawing from is 5 times your cleric level. All that's the same. The only really difference here is the bloodied creatures thing, the fact that you can only target a creature that has less than half of its hit points, and you can only heal somebody to half of their max hit points.
So, I mean, kind of is the same thing, because if you can only heal somebody to half their max HP, then in the original book, then you wouldn't technically be able to heal somebody that's over half HP anyway.
Yeah, they just changed it in the sense that they made bloodied an actual
condition.
Yeah, they've put it back in the game from its older days.
Good.
Unless there's an interesting way to read this, there is a world where you could interpret this as like the amount of healing you can do to a creature
that they
can
receive
exceed
is
their half of their hit points or their max.
right.
Like if you have 100 hit points and you're at 80, I can still heal you, but I can only heal you a maximum of 50 because otherwise that would be more than your max hit point. That might be an interpretation that they mean by this. I don't necessarily read it that way, if I'm being honest. I'm just saying maybe there's a world where that's what they mean. I don't know. It's one of the problems with D&D as a company, or Wizards and Hasbro, is that they spend so much time on these books. They do a great job for the most part. The artwork is good when it's real artists. Fucking God.
Yeah.
But also, like, then they have little moments like this where you're like sitting there and you're going, maybe it's because I come from like an English background, but I can read this with 5 different interpretations and I just want to know which one they mean.
Right. We can sit here and talk for an hour on the semantics of this one spell.
I know that happens a lot. The other interesting thing is with this healing burst, in 2014, it explicitly said you cannot heal undead or constructs. And now you can, technically, because it doesn't say you can't. So that's fun.
Okay.
Again, that really just applies to like allies or whatever,
Right.
But still fun. Level 6, you get Blessed Healer. Healing spells that you cast on others also heal you. So anytime you use a spell slot to cast a healing spell, you regain hit points equal to 2 plus your spell's level.
Nice.
So that's dope. And then level 17, Supreme Healing. Now it's just max healing across the board anytime you roll dice for healing, whether it's a spell or a channel divinity.
Okay.
Just the max number on the dice.
Hell yeah.
So that's
pretty
awesome.
dope.
That's how it was in 2014. It's not a change or anything. Neither is level 6 really, but still, all of it is nice. It gears towards being that healer and constantly putting out more healing than almost any other subclass really. Or at least it's up there. It's competitive with other full healer builds. I think this might be one of the best ones. There might be there's probably some maniac out there who's like, actually, I made a barbarian that heals the most. And it's like, I don't know. There's probably someone. If you multi-class 7 ways. And it's like, okay. And then my bastion. All right.
All right.
That's the life domain. You'll notice that
officially doing too much.
They definitely put an emphasis on like the wording of some of this, like the level 6 thing and the level 3 thing with the Disciple of Life, when you use a spell slot to cast a spell.
Right.
Which is very specific. It's not just trying to dissuade you from cantrips. Obviously, there aren't very many, if any. There are literally none healing cantrips.
Yeah.
However, the reason I think they're putting that in there is because they're making a real big distinction between using a spell slot to cast a spell and using something like a magic item or something that doesn't technically burn a spell slot.
Right.
So even if you're the life domain cleric and you have a necklace of prayer beads that has a ton of healing stuff on it, none of that gets the little tiny extra bonuses. Not that would make that much of a difference, but technically, you never know. It adds up. But that's the life domain.
All right. Well, moving right along to the next one, we're looking at the light domain.
Oh.
So pretty much looks not too bad. At third level, you're gonna get your special channel divinity. It's called Radiance of the Dawn. You take the magic action, use your channel divinity, and you emit a flash of light in 30 feet from yourself. If it's got magical darkness in it, that darkness is dispelled, and each creature of your choice must make a Constitution saving throw or take radiant damage equal to 2d10 plus your cleric level, or half on a success. So pretty standard damaging channel divinity.
Yeah.
Which is, nice.
It's good. I mean, it's a good chunk of damage.
Yeah.
30-foot
Yeah, I
thing.
mean, 2d10 plus your cleric level is not bad. And
At a
honestly,
certain point,
that's going
it's gonna be pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
To just be like, boom,
Yeah.
everyone takes 30 damage. Whoa. What?
Yeah. Then we'll go ahead and get into your light domain spells. Doesn't look like anything's really changed too much. Level 3, you're getting Burning Hands, Fairy Fire, Scorching Ray, and See Invisibility. Level 5, Daylight and Fireball. Level 7, Arcane Eye and Wall of Fire. And then level 9, you're getting Flame Strike and Scrying.
Pretty
I think
much
maybe
all
the
the
Scry
same.
is
No,
about...
Scrying is there.
Scrying's there? All right,
Yeah, I
well,
have
fair
it
enough. Then
what's funny is that they took off of almost all of them is 4th level Guardian of Faith. They were like, fuck that spell, actually. They added Arcane Eye.
Okay.
They added some of the stuff that alludes to the idea of light and improving your sight. So like Arcane Eye was added. Scrying was already there, but then also you have they got rid of Flaming Sphere and they changed it with See Invisibility.
Yeah.
Those are the changes.
And lastly, at level 3, you get your Warding Flare. And that's when a creature within 30 feet of you makes an attack roll. You can use a reaction to impose disadvantage on the roll. And you must do this before you know if it hits or misses. And you get a number of uses of this equal to your Wisdom modifier. And you get all those back on a long rest.
Pretty solid. Pretty
Solid.
We know how powerful that is, honestly. Like, just think about...
Honestly, yeah.
For me, too, I have such recency bias about this, actually, in the sense that, like, all I can think about is Twofer doing this once in a while.
I was going to say, what do you mean? I never would
And Twofer had to be right there. So the idea that you could just 30 feet away, several turns in a row, just be like, hey, actually, disadvantage for that attack over there. And be like, no.
I
need this attack to go off. Really fun.
And there's I'm going to kill that dog. You not killing this dog.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to level 6, you get your Improved Warding Flare. Now you get all your uses back on a short rest. And whenever you use Warding Flare, you can also give the target of that attack temporary hit points up to 2d6 plus your Wisdom modifier. So your ally who's about to get pummeled, you can make that attack be at disadvantage and also give them a little bump. Come a little hellskis.
Whoa. This is insane. I'm rereading Warding Flare for 2014. And Improved Warding Flare because they do have both.
Right.
Let me tell you, it has gotten better, I must say. Because
I imagine
3rd level starts with this whole like, hey, reaction, any attack within 30 feet of you, including yourself, like if somebody makes an attack against you, right? In 2014, obviously it's a little different because you get things at 1st level instead of 3rd, so they have to balance it in a different way because you get Warding Flare at 1st level, so of course it's a little different. But they made it like it's only when you are being attacked at 1st level can you do this reaction. Then at 6th level, the improvement is that now you can do it when they're attacking other creatures, including yourself.
Gotcha.
Here, you just, now at 3rd level, it's already...
Once you get it, you can use it on anybody.
Yeah, so at 3rd level, you get what used to be a 6th level thing. And then at 6th level, they just made it better because now it's short rest and...
It does healing.
It also does fucking healing.
Yeah, that's really dope.
Yeah.
So yeah, Warding Flare, pretty dope. I remember us going over Light Domain and being very non-impressed.
Yeah, Light Domain has some
what this-
aspects that are dope. Like I think the Channel Divinity is decent, and I think the spell list is fun.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I remember not being super impressed. Now I'm rethinking some Light Domain stuff. But moving on to level 17, you get your Corona of Light ability. It's a magic action. You're going to emit sunlight for 1 minute until you dismiss it. It's bright light for up to 60 feet, dim light for another 30. Enemies in the bright light have disadvantage on saving throws against your Radiance of the Dawn and any spell that deals radiant or fire damage. That's crazy. And you can use this up to, you have a number of uses of this equal to your wisdom modifier, and you get it back on a long rest. Any spells. I'm reading this as any spell that deals radiant or fire damage. It would be also, if your buddies, you want to set up that wombo combo and your buddies have radiant or fire damage, which, let's be honest, if you're trying to be a spellcaster and doing a lot of damage, most of them do fire damage.
You're 17th absolutely. Level. Your friends have fire damage spells.
You're goddamn right they do.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. That's crazy. It's disadvantage on all saving throws against that stuff.
It's pretty good. You know what's interesting is actually 2014 is almost the same. The biggest change is the inclusion of the Channel Divinity. In 2014, it's just spells, and a Channel Divinity is not a spell. So they include that in here, which is good.
Okay.
The other thing, now here's the weird thing, is that I'm reading it right now. It's in front of my face. 2014 Corona of Light. You just use an action and it lasts for a minute. There is no discussion of how many uses you get. You can just do that ad nauseum.
That's wild.
In 2014. Yeah.
Right.
So so the Warding Flare has significantly improved. Corona of Light arguably got a little bit worse because of that. The fact that you can only do this so many times between long rests. Although, how many times? You have it 5 by now.
How many
times? 5 minutes. You need to be a beacon of fucking damage.
You're not going to be using. Yeah, you're not going to be using this as a out of combat thing. You know, there's other spells for that. There's cantrips for that.
I know.
That you can do. That So I honestly don't see that as really a nerf. I see the adding of your Channel Divinity into this actually a little bit better.
Yeah. Because by this point you're doing, what was it? How many d8s? 2d10 plus 17.
2d10 plus 17, right?
Yeah. So yeah, having people have to make a disadvantage on that is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely good.
But yeah, that's the old light domain there.
That's the old light domain. You know what I would try and do? And this would take a little bit of time, but this is where my version of min-maxing goes a little haywire. I read this. It says, any spell that deals radiant or fire damage. So that's the criteria, right? It has to be a spell.
Right.
Has to deal either radiant or fire.
Uh-huh.
But what if it's one of those spells that's like, hey, also, you take 1d6 fire damage. Sure. But also, this other crazy effect happens. You become stunned and da-da-da-da. That's the spell
Absolutely.
I want to find. I want to find the spell that, yes, it does do fire damage, so it hits all the criteria, but it also has this other effect. I don't know if one exists. I'm just thinking. Maybe.
I'm sure they're out there.
I'm sure they're out there evading us, tricking us. Speaking of which, trickery domain.
You tricked me, you son of a bitch.
The trickery domain is an interesting one because it is the default subclass of Shadowheart in Baldur's Gate 3. And Larian, I love you guys for so many things you do. I can't believe you guys absolutely dropped the fucking ball on the trickery domain. You bastards. You can't move your duplicate, you assholes. That alone
absolutely
makes me switch her subclass the second I am able to.
Yeah.
The rest of it could be so cool, but they have taken the duplicity and made it like such a one-trick pony where, hey, it's going to get targeted immediately and die. But hey, maybe for one attack, you'll have advantage. And it's so fucking dumb. So let's get into it. First off, we get your Blessing of the Trickster. You're going to use a magic action. You can choose yourself or a willing creature within 30 feet. And hey, they have advantage on stealth checks until you take a long rest or until you use this feature again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they just have that. So that's dope to just be able to be like, hey, oh, good morning, guys. Hey, heavy armor wearer. You have advantage forever.
Right.
Like, that's wild, actually. It's really powerful. Then we get our trickery domain spells, almost all the same. Couple changes here and there. So 3rd level, we're going to get charm person, disguise self, invisibility, pass without trace. 5th level, we get hypnotic pattern and non-detection. 7th level, we get confusion and dimension door.
Nice.
9th level, dominate person and modify memory.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, pretty much all the same. You're just missing out on a couple of things that they took away. Like mirror image was one of the 2nd level sort of spells that you can get. And then you also lose blink and polymorph, actually.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's okay. You can get them in other ways, I'm sure.
You can get them in other ways because we also get our channel divinity at 3rd level, and that is invoke duplicity. You just have to use a bonus action as you expend your channel divinity to create a duplicate within 30 feet of you. It lasts 1 minute unless you dismiss it early with no action, or if you become incapacitated. Now, here's the first thing that makes this 1,000% better than 2014, and that is you don't need to concentrate. Your duplicate just exists for that's 1
awesome.
minute or until you get incapacitated. So that's dope as fuck, because I can't tell you how insane that was as a decision by the fucking D&D people. Like, at what point?
Concentration is so crucial for
Like,
a spellcaster, and to take it up with a divinity, that's bullshit.
Dare you? How
Yeah.
dare you give me this okay channel divinity and demand I concentrate on it? Fuck off. And then be like, hey, and also 90% of cleric spells are concentration.
Right.
Like, you piece
Exactly.
of shit. Anyway. So now the duplicate gains a couple of abilities, couple of things that this duplicate can do. The first, cast spells. So you can cast spells through your duplicate as if you're standing in its space. So it just increases the range and the possibility of angles and cool things that you can do. You also get the ability to distract. When both you and your duplicate are within 5 feet of a creature that can see the duplicate, then you specifically get advantage on attack rolls.
Okay.
And then you also get another ability where you can move it. This is Hilarion, listen up. As a bonus action, you can move your duplicate up to 30 feet to a spot that you can see, as long as that spot is within 120 feet of you.
Okay, I think I see why they did it that way. Why they've made it so it can't move. And that's the second bit of the within 120 feet of you. Coding that would be a goddamn nightmare.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm sure most of the issues, most of the things that come down to, like, why did Larian change this to this, are come down to, like, behind the scenes, like, really technical shit, you know? But nonetheless, if I can move my Spirit Guardian, if I can move all these other things, why can't I move it? Like, just take away the 120 feet thing. When were we ever 120 feet from any target, indeed? I mean, like, in Baldur's Gate, you're mostly pretty close to the targets, like, range. You like, that's why they took away the sharpshooter thing. Like, I don't know. But yeah, being able to move the duplicate is huge. The distraction is an interesting one because it requires a lot. You have to be within 5 feet of the creature. Your duplicate has to be within 5 feet of the creature. And at this first 3rd level thing of the duplicate, only you are getting advantage. Your friends are not getting advantage.
Yeah.
Only you are, and that's important.
Well, I mean, that's basically giving yourself flanking, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Yeah. No. It's good. I'm just saying that it's only you. I'm making that distinction because it changes later.
Gotcha.
Level 6, we get Trickster's Transposition. So now whenever you take the bonus action to either move or summon this duplicate, you can also teleport and switch places with them.
Hell yeah.
That's really, really fun. The fact that you can just do this as a bonus action every single time you're moving the duplicate, that's really, really nice. They didn't have that. All they had was they gave you another channel divinity, actually. At channel 6, level 6, you got another channel divinity, and you could become invisible until the end of your next turn unless you cast a spell. So it's just, I don't know. So weird. Anyway, level 17, improved duplicity. So now you get shared distraction. So now if you and your duplicate are within 5 feet of a creature, everyone gets advantage on those attacks. Waiting until 17th is crazy. But yes, that's the one thing.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is healing illusion. When the illusion ends, you or a creature of your choice within 5 feet of it regains hit points equal to your cleric level, which obviously would be 17 at this point. But that means that one of you have to be within 5 feet of it when that happens. Of course, you can set it up because the only thing that's going to kill your duplicate is if you become incapacitated or die, or if you end it. So you should be able to, like, unless you become incapacitated or something, you know, presumably you should be able to get your move it in a way where you can get it within 5 feet of somebody. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. They took away the idea of having 4 duplicates because that's what it used to be, that you get 4 duplicates. Now you just the one. You know what? That's fucking crazy. Here it is. It's actually not Larian's decision to change the movement of the duplicity. It's 2014's fault. 2014, you can't move the duplicate until level 17. It says right here, as a bonus action on your turn, you can move. Oh no, it says any number of them. Never mind. It is a bonus action. It was Larian. I was right to begin with. I apologize for all the. I'm in my head today, dude. I'm like rereading sentences and like, ugh. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You know why? Because that was the trickery domain. And I freaking got tricked. I got, dude.
Yeah, all in all, I'm still kind of meh on trickery domain. I don't know. I feel like if I want to do trickery stuff, there's much better classes to do it with.
I agree.
The cleric.
I think that I like the idea of a trickery domain cleric. I don't want to take that away as an idea. I just want the mechanics to be better. And not necessarily better in like a must be stronger, but almost like a more fun way. Like I would keep the duplicity because I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I would like to be able to.
I do think this is an
like it to be almost like an Echo Knight deal would be fun, of being able to swap with it willy nilly.
It's the same, the swapping, because it's a bonus action.
No, but it's only when you
move it,
summon it,
or move it, which is also just a bonus action.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good.
Bad. But still, all right. Well, still that's.
But no, you're right. I mean, the Echo Knight still is
like
way more powerful because it can also make its own attacks and it does its own stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to mention, you can just you can summon Echo Knights literally on repeat. This is Channel Divinity, so you only get so many. Yeah, I do think 2024 is a little bit better than 2014 for trickery domain. I would like to see a couple things changed, but like kind of specific stuff. Yeah. Like both you and your duplicate are within 5 feet of a creature that can see the duplicate. You have advantage on attack rolls. Here's the thing. What if I don't want to do all the physical stuff?
Right.
I don't want to do heavy armor and be up in the front lines. I'm tricky. Why am I so fucking close?
Yeah.
You know? So I don't like that. And you know what the crazy thing is? In 2014, they didn't even give you proficiency in heavy armor or extra weapons or anything. But they did give you Divine Strike, and they made it poison damage, which is like the most common damage to be resistant by monsters. Yeah, they fucked up in 2014. So I think 2024, improvement.
Fair. Well, let's get on to our final cleric domain here, and that is war. Yeah. So starting with the very first feature you get at War Domain 3rd level, you get Guided Strike. When you or a creature within 30 feet of you misses an attack roll, you can use your Channel Divinity and give that roll a +10 bonus. And when you do this to help a creature other than yourself, it costs a reaction. So if you use it on yourself, it does not cause a reaction. It just is a Channel Divinity. That's pretty good. That's pretty goddamn good. I love that use of Channel Divinity.
Yeah.
I love that a lot.
Pretty
I've always been a pretty big fan of War Domain, though. It's pretty broken in 2014 too.
Yeah.
Moving on to your domain spell list. Level 3, you're getting Guiding Bolt, Magic Weapon, Shield of Faith, Spiritual Weapon. Level 5, you're getting Crusader's Mantle and Spirit Guardians. Level 7, Fire Shield, Freedom of Movement. And then at level 9, Hold Monster and Steel Wind Strike. That sounds like a new spell that I've never heard of before.
Steel Wind Strike?
Yeah.
Brother, strap in because that spell is so good. It didn't exist when 2014 first came out. It was at Steelwind Strike is I can't remember if it's Xanathar's or Tosh's, but it was added. It is so good. Steelwind Strike is like easily one of the most powerful 5th level spells in the fucking game.
Okay.
Choose up to 5 creatures that you can see within range, 30 feet. Mm-hmm. You flourish a weapon that you're using in the casting and vanish to strike like the wind. Make a melee spell attack against each target. On a hit, the target takes 6d10 force damage. You then can teleport to an unoccupied space you can see within 5 feet of one of the targets that either you hit or missed.
Wow, that's so good. You're like a freaking ninja.
You're literally
that's cool as shit.
You're literally Minato.
Like, and we're like Naruto ninja with flash stepping and shit. Yeah, that's cool as shit.
Stepping, buddy.
I love that.
We're flash stepping. We're doing a ton of force damage. We're hitting 5 creatures with 6d10 each potentially.
That's crazy.
It's a pretty good spell. Wizards can get it too, which isn't that crazy?
That is pretty crazy.
I mean, it's a wizard. It's technically only for rangers and wizards.
Yeah. Rangers make sense. Wizards with the right build also makes sense.
Yeah, Adine
I love my
Fantasy High gets it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I could definitely I fucks with the battle mage, so that's pretty cool. Moving on to the last thing you get at level 3, you get the War Priest action. It's a bonus action. You make an attack with a weapon or an unarmed strike. You have it's a bonus action attack basically. Mm-hmm. This is the same as War Priest or War Cleric in 2014
for sure.
Just an extra attack, which is nice for being that front line. I'm gonna smush stuff. This was my guy who had the crazy Warhammer that would just the smush, where the smush really took hold. One of the first clerics that I made was a War Cleric, and bonus action attack is really nice. You can do it up to your wisdom modifier amount of times per short or long rest. So pretty dope,
pretty solid.
An extra attack every now. It's not a constant extra attack, but it is. It's something. I like it.
Right? Yeah. If you have the bonus action, you have the uses. Mine as well. The other nice thing is, so for the slight change between 2014 and 2024. In 2024, what is now referred to as guided strike was at the time referred to as it's War Gods. It's hold on, my brain is farting all over the place and it's disgusting. Guided strike, channel divinity, plus 10 to the roll, that whole thing, right? And it only works for you and your attacks. Doesn't use the reaction. And then at 6th level, it upgrades and you get War God's Blessing. Now you can take a reaction and burn a channel divinity and give the plus 10 to a friend.
Gotcha.
So they have,
now
for 2014, they took that 2nd level ability and that 6th level ability. They combined it into a 3rd level ability, which is why now in 2024, we still have a War God's Blessing at 6th level, but it's something different, which is new.
Absolutely. So with War God's Blessing at level 6 in the 2024 rules, you can expend a use of your channel divinity to cast Shield of Faith or Spiritual Weapon rather than spending a spell slot. When you cast it using channel divinity, you don't need to concentrate on Shield of Faith. Spiritual Weapon is never needed concentration.
Read the note.
Or the new 2024 version does require concentration, but with this, you wouldn't need to concentrate on it. It lasts for 1 minute. It ends early if you dismiss it, incapacitated, or you die. The 2024 version of Spiritual Weapon I like a little bit better than the 2014 version, just because it's easier, because it levels up pretty much every other upcasted spell. You get an extra damage die per level, basically.
Yeah.
So I like that. I hate that every 2 levels
is the concentration.
Right. And honestly, I'm kind of okay with that. I wouldn't be using it. I generally don't. I've kind of gotten away from using it for the most part anyway, because there's other things that I could be doing. But spiritual weapon, not bad, especially if you're using, if you're out of your bonus action attacks or what have you. You got a free bonus action to freaking lay into somebody with spiritual weapon. And if you use your channel divinity for this at level 6, which is very nice, it's not a concentration spell anymore, and you can still keep doing other crazy stuff, which is nice.
Yeah, really, really nice. Not to mention, Shield of Faith is also nice. Just a +2 to anyone's AC for a minute.
Right.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not having to concentrate on it. Like, Shield of Faith is one of those spells I use a ton in Baldur's Gate, especially lower levels, because there's so many, like, when you're the paladin, you're like, I mean, I can save all my shit for smites, but it's like, I also they let me cast multiple spells in Baldur's Gate 3 because of the bonus action thing. So sometimes it's like, fuck it, I'll throw a Shield of Faith on myself. Why not?
Right.
So that's nice.
Level 17, I'll admit, a little lackluster for 17. Resistance.
It's better than before. I'll tell
you get
what.
Avatar of Battle. You get resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. I guess this is all bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. It doesn't specify non-magical, so that's nice.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
It used to only be non-magical.
Okay. But still, honestly, at level 17, it's a little bit better, but also still kind of lackluster.
I like it. I don't know. I think it might play because there's just so many monsters that do those 3 types. I mean, obviously they're the most common damage types in the entire game. And so it's like, yes, at higher levels, you're absolutely going to be hitting a lot of elemental, psychic, all the different types. But you're always going to be getting hit with bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing at some point. Even creatures who do like a slash and it's like, slashing damage and a little bit of fire, it's like, hey, at least some of it is halved. So because they took away the non-magical, I actually think this is pretty good. 17 is rough.
Yeah. I still honestly am very happy. Like I'd still play another War Domain Cleric. Your channel divinities are super goddamn strong. You get a really strong domain spell list. Getting that extra attack is very nice.
Hell yeah.
And honestly, at level 3, you could potentially have, up to 5 uses of that if you're statting out right, or probably level 4, it would take you at least, I think.
Probably. Unless you're rolling for stats.
Yeah, unless you're rolling for stats. But still very, very strong. I love all of those spells in the spell list, especially Steel Wind Strike, which I've never heard of, and now I'm going to make it my life's mission to get. I don't think the way that I've multi-classed so far with Cal, I don't think I'm ever going to get 5th level anything.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever going to get 5th level spells. I do plan on taking another level of Cleric in the near future so I can get my 4th level spells back. I love Divination. It's such a great spell. And also there's a lot of like create and destroy water or control water, I think it is.
Yes.
That's another really good one. A lot of really good 4th level Cleric spells.
For sure. Yeah, it's rough. But multiclassing is hard when you don't get those higher spells. Obviously you get the slots depending on your multiclass build specifically, but it's a challenge. Because there's a million things that Cal can do that others couldn't. But there's also, that little side of being like, man, if only we could go to level 30, then I could. Then I could cast level spells and smite with them. Hell yes.
Right.
But, overall, I think the Cleric has improved for the most part. I mean, I don't, not a ton, like a.
It's been a tweak. I wouldn't have, it's different. I'd have to play it more to know if it is really better or worse. I don't think it's worse.
No.
I just think it's different. I think it's different, and I don't think it's any better or worse. It's just they've made some tweaks, some balancing stuff, and it's fine, I guess. I'm not overly upset about anything, so there's that.
Yeah. Like I said, I feel the
same way. My biggest thing was the divine intervention. I'm not crazy about, but it's also a lot easier on the DM and the players, so I see why they changed it.
Yeah, Yeah, they did that with a lot of things. They tried at least to take away as much of the like excuse me, up in the air sort of completely ambiguous.
Get with your DM about XYZ and you guys decide. And it's like, hold on a second. I don't know. What are the rules?
Yeah,
I need my rails of freedom.
I know. It's why they took away so many of the conjure spells, or at least changed them to be completely different, where it's like you're just summoning a bunch of animal spirits and they can look like whatever they want.
Right.
Instead of being like, talk to your DM, find the monster stats, here's what you can summon. You have to use the monster manual. And I guess people were just not okay with that, or like it was extra work, and it is. But like, I love it still. And it's another thing that as a player, I want to play a conjuration person. And I want to fucking summon actual things. I don't want to just flavor it. I want to have 12 attacks my turn. Because I can guarantee you, I'm not like, you know me as a D&D player. I am fine. If I had that many creatures, I would not be rolling physical dice. And you know me, Justin, that I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm going to go as fast as possible. I want my turn to be very efficient, you know? Right. I've done enough actual plays as a player and as a DM where I'm like very cognizant of all of that. So like the idea that it would get to my turn, I'd be like, hold on, I have to roll a D20 1,000 times. It's like, I'm going to bang it out. I'm going to go I'm going to open a tab and roll 7 D20 immediately.
Right.
I'll be able to tell you if they hit or not quick. So yeah, I think some of it is just that, but for the most part, I'd be really excited to play a cleric in 2024. I would love to, in a future episode, I want us to take some of the subclasses that didn't make it over yet, although they might be in Unearthed Arcana. I have to check that shit out before I do this, but take some of the subclasses that didn't move over yet, and I want us to move them over and see like, is it super fucking easy, or is it a little challenging? How much do we need to really think about it, or is it kind of really easy? Because they keep advertising it as completely reverse engineer and you could reverse compatible, no problem. And it's like, okay, let's see if it is. I want to do that in a future episode.
What would it take?
Yeah, so we could do like a couple classes.
Because I mean, a lot of it is a lot of them from this, because I know Cleric better than most classes. A lot of it is just quality of life improvements almost of, okay, we're going to condense these two into one ability, and then we're going to give you something else so that it frees up this other thing. I think waiting until 3rd level to give the subclasses adds a little bit of freedom in that regard to get a little more buck wild on the first ability, rather than, having a 1st level, this is broken. Absolutely broken ability.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it'll be different for each class. I think for some classes it'll be easier than other classes, and that's what I want to explore. Is like, you and I can each pick like a class or two, and then pick a subclass that we like that isn't in 2024 yet. Maybe according to Unearthed Arcana, whether or not we want to include that. But then it'd be like, oh yeah, this was really easy to move over, or like, this is actually a pain in the ass. This is so annoying. I just want it to work with the 2014 version. Because it depends on how much they changed with the base class.
That's very true. That's very true.
We'll have to see. Like, I imagine moving a ranger subclass over might be more difficult, because my understanding is that they changed a good deal.
Right.
But we'll get into that next time. For now, thank you, Fresca, so much, and all other beverage companies. Hit us up.
All right. Well, that's all we can get into this time. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at So You Want to Be a DM, or you can ask us a question at So You Want to Be a DM at gmail.com. If you like the episode, don't forget to give us 5 stars and a review wherever you found us, and check out the Patreon, the Twitch, and our merch with the link in the description. Join us next time for more Dungeon Master tips and tricks.
Bye.
See you.
And now I get to shout out the members of our Patreon gang. Nub Muffins, may Palor's light shine upon you. And then there's Tappy, Molly, and Elijah. Thank you all so much for being members of our Patreon gang. Remember, you can find the link to that in the description of the episode. And also remember this. We love you. Thanks again, and tune in next time for more tips and tricks from So You Wanna Be a DM.